A few years ago, I had the opportunity to go to India for 30 days, and I spent all month with a Himalayan yogi. And he's really, if we're looking at those vibrational frequency levels, I don't know if you've ever seen Hawkins'
Yeah, I've
scale
seen.
of consciousness, and you've got like love and joy and peace. And then beyond that, you have enlightenment. And
Mhm.
really witnessing him, the way that he thought, lived, acted, everything, he was living in that space of enlightenment where he judged no one and he loved and accepted everyone, and he was calm. His nervous system was regulated.
Yeah, yeah,
There were some challenges along the way. There was this big landslide. We couldn't cross this river because the bridge was broken and all of these things. And he was always calm
yeah,
and grounded. And he would just say, just sit here, just meditate. And then, like 10 minutes later, this random person just came up and opened this other route for us to go up. And it's just like everything just flowed because we were in the presence of him. And I had the opportunity to interview him over that 30 days. And I said to him, I thought, what would be like the juiciest question to ask him, even though, I wanted to be really respectful and everything. But I was like, what are the traits of someone who is fantastic at manifesting? If you
yeah.
could define who a person could become, what they could work on being so that they can just be great at manifesting like him. And he said three things. He said, first of all, people who are great at manifesting, they're uncomplicated. That was the word he used. And I that's really powerful. I think that could be interpreted to mean, not all hysterical, not overthinking, not making things harder than they need to be, and just being uncomplicated. I don't think that
I,
gets talked about enough, you
yeah, I think
know?
that the way that I interpret that too is like kind of just being present, right? Because then you're not
Yeah.
dragging in this old past story or living in this, anxieties that future based living and worry or doubt or fear,
Yeah.
I think is the past. And so, yeah, just being present in the moment, that strikes me as like resonating,
Mm,
uncomplicated.
definitely. So uncomplicated was thing number one. Thing number two was to have an open heart.
Hmm.
He said a lot of people walk around with their heart closed,
Yeah.
right? Blocked off, protecting themselves from being hurt again or something like this. But he said when your heart is open, then you can really be in the receiving mode and you can receive what it is that you're asking for. And then the third thing, again, was just so straightforward but powerful. And he said the person who manifests that particular goal, they need to have the skills, the ability
Yeah. Hmm.
to sustain it, like what we were talking about earlier. Kind
Yeah.
of like how statistically such a high number of people who win the lottery lose the money or spend all the money, blow all the money within a couple of years because, okay, they had an openness to receiving it, but their container wasn't necessarily ready because they hadn't gone through the process of acquiring the skills, the money management, the relationship with money, the
Hmm.
relationship between themselves and money in order to be able to maintain a wealthy identity and quality of life, right? So sometimes people are looking for the shortcuts, whereas actually, what if you really that vision that you want, the shortcut isn't the best way to get there if you want to actually be able to sustain it, and
Yeah.
developing the skills, the foundations, whatever it takes to build that muscle
Hmm.
is really the key to then you look back 2 years later, 5 years later, and you're like, oh my God, who I am today is because of all of those reps that I did
Yeah.
in the past.
And putting yourself through uncomfortable situations, that's how we grow. Having those
Yeah.
rejections or those quote unquote failures is the path of growth. I mean, that's what Maxwell Maltz talks about in psycho-cybernetics, and it's absolutely true. It's that mechanism that's reorienting. Okay, I need to make this course correction here, right? And so sometimes
Yeah.
going for no, there's another book called that, is the best approach, and that's how to build yourself.
Mm.
There's another thing that my friend says all the time, which is fast is slow, slow is fast.
Yeah.
And that applies to what you're talking about as well, because those shortcuts, when you try to make all those shortcuts, it's really not serving you the long run. Whether it's in your business,
Mm.
whether it's with people in relationships, you making shortcuts, doing something that might not be the best way to doing things that's not in the best character, those things are going to catch up with you. They're like
Yeah.
in your business, it's going to, people are going to eventually catch on. And so I like that a lot. There was one other thing I was thinking of. Oh, it was the first point you made about being uncomplicated. And I think a lot of the times we get in our own way. Like, we are our own worst enemy. Almost what you spoke about before, we've all been guilty of this, right? Where we try to take on too many things at once. And it's kind of self-sabotage, right? It's kind of, we're kind of making things too complicated. You know, sometimes what we need is like a healthy balance, where, yeah, we can analyze and we can go into that, but it has to be tempered with action towards our goal. And even if we're failing along the way, like I said, we can make those course corrections, but it's important to go and take that action in the moment too, and being present and do what we know we need to do, move our feet towards our goal without overcomplicating it, because then it'll bring the doubts in. So it's important to take the action. Then once you're done, okay, now it's time to like reflect, make some course corrections and stuff like that, you know?
Completely.